Hello and welcome to another very special episode of Bulldogs Unleashed this week, because we're building up to another game with Parramatta and the I Forgive Cup will be decided. And on that point, we've got a great lineup of guests. I hope you're very excited about Peter Kelly, Paul Langmack and Luke Goodwin joining us for this first segment. Thanks, fellas. Also coming in, Danny Abdallah, who of course is the man behind the I Forgive Cup, will be telling that story. And just for a change of pace this week, we've got in Rob and Tahir, the famous comedians. You'd be familiar with them on game day at Bulldogs games. And they have a relationship with Danny as well, which we'll talk about in the next segment. So there's a lot coming up. Kel and Langers will be more than happy to talk about that incredible rivalry between Parramatta and the Bulldogs in the 1980s. Big show ahead of us. But right now, let's talk about what's been happening around this club this week. And the team list is out. Luke Goodwin, couple of important changes. We have one of those forwards we've been talking about missing so much coming back, at least on the bench.
Yeah, that's right. So this week, we've got Chrissy Patola coming back. A great story. Chrissy's been off for a while and he's been in the rehab group. So it's great to see him back, and he actually signed a 1-year extension last week to stay at the club, which is great for the club. He looks in fine form. He'll be a bit underdone, but he's had nearly 50 minutes in Reggie's on the weekend, and went really well. They had another great win. So, it's exciting for him. So I'm looking forward to see how he's going to go.
Jacob Kiraz comes back from injury. That means, of course, Blake Wilson gets a bit of a rest this week, or at least from first grade. Reid Marnie is the interesting point. Now, Gus has said that technically he can come back within the rules of the game for the game against Parramatta because it's on the Monday. Yeah. However, they still want to make sure, don't they?
Yeah, he's got a test at the end of the week. He's got a test and to see if he's good to play. It's with an independent doctor, not with our doctor. So, but he was bouncing off walls here today, and yesterday he recovered really well. So hopefully he can pass the test and play against his old club.
He looked like he was itching to get on in training, that's for sure. And look, I'll ask you guys now how you feel about the form of the team so far. 1 point loss to the Roosters last weekend. Well, Kel, what have been your observations? First time I've had a chance to talk to you this year. Your thoughts on the team?
It's a difficult question to answer because obviously they're trying hard. New coach, they are competitive, but they just aren't winning the games, obviously. So what do I think? How do you fix it? I really don't know enough about all these individuals to make an analysis on that, Bill. I think Cialdo's a good coach. I think give him another off-season with them and we will see what he's going to bring to the club. And then he'll be able to ascertain what he has to work with and what he needs to repair that.
It's like the missing pieces of the jigsaw, isn't it? We haven't quite got a clear picture of that yet, Langers. And look, Cameron Ciraldo said that in some of the post-match news conferences too, particularly in recent weeks.
Yeah, I just think the attack's very clunky. They're good for moments. Losing Reid Marnie during the game, they're going to win, and he's a winner. Yeah, they're very clunky, and then they'll make stupid. We led 12-0, and then we drop a ball, and then they score. We're up 24-12. Marker defence was disgraceful, and Tedesco runs straight through. They score again. Look, we really haven't got a halfback. Matt Burton's not a halfback. Realistically, he's not a halfback. He's not an organiser. He's a very good player, very skillful. You have to have big men to take you forward. That creates opportunities for your 9, your 7 and your 1. And when they have opportunities, then your edge players of the second rowers and the centres have opportunities. And when we look very clunky. We're trying all the time. Like last time we played Parramatta early in the season, it could have been 60-0. If it was last year, we probably would have got 60 point on us. But the spirit's there. They're trying, like Kel says. Success doesn't happen overnight. For years, even when Kel and I retired, the Bulldogs junior rep teams were winning Jersey flag. They were running the grand finals, and then for 10 years, They went kaput and they were nowhere, and now we're getting there. So in 2 or 3 years' time, we'll bear fruit of that. But we all want success instant, and it's hard.
One of the big things, and you guys don't probably realise, and we did a big review the week of the bye. So with the coaching staff, with the players, one-on-one, and we had a lot of stats up there we went through. And there's, with stats, you can read good or bad into them. But one stat that was glaring that stood out that, when we sort of look at how the team's preparing and going, is we have the youngest team by far in the NRL. So that's games played, that's age. So there's a lot of inexperience there. And like you said, Lingers, last year, we probably would have been, a heavier loss. This year, we're sticking in games longer. We're really gritty. We're grinding it out. Do we have the polish? No, and we know that. But I will say, working with them every day, the feeling's still the best I've ever felt it, and we're realistic about where we're going to end up, but it's about, like Gus says, we're way off at the minute.
Kel, do you agree stats are overrated in the sense that you can use stats to say why you're playing bad, but it doesn't tell you if the bloke's a winner or whatever. At the end of the day, you've played good or you've played bad. Would you agree?
Totally agree that it is the work off the ball, off the stats that you've got to account for. It's just covering from market. Just keep chasing is a stat that doesn't.
Well, Kel, it's funny you should mention that. So when we talk stats, we've got our own that are no ability required stats.
Yep.
So it's been the first down to kick, making a double for marker, chasing out inside pressure on the kick. So it's everything you just said.
Yep.
We've got our
speed of the play of the ball.
Everything like that. So no ability. You don't need any ability. It's all effort.
See, like if I was a front rower, I could get my stats up. I wasn't big enough like Kel and Tunks on them. But if you're a stats player, and there's a lot of them out there, I'll get back and take every drop out.
We take it off the kickoff.
Yeah,
that's
you get
20, 30 metres. Yeah.
But I'll watch videos and see in my team who plays the ball the quickest. Every time he plays the ball, I'm going to hit the ball up. Would you agree?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's not that doesn't say I'm a better player. It just says I'm smarter. I'm a stats man. And the game's gone that way, which is sometimes not that good. But anyway, can I just ask one question? We're here. I'm very rapt to be here today with the great Peter Kelly. Got man of the match, 84 grand final, 85 grand final. We won them, right?
So you got them in both, Kel?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
84. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Retrospectively too, the Clive Churchill anyway. He was man of the match. That was, but they gave you the Clive Churchill medal years later,
Did
didn't
you
they?
get the Clive Churchill medal?
Only one. No, they gave you a photo.
Oh, okay.
It was a bit of a letdown, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say you didn't get the actual medal.
No, they didn't
What was it
invite me.
called back then? Was it called after someone back then, the man of the match?
No, it was just Channel 9, players player.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah, no, I wasn't very impressed with the New South Wales Rugby League. I don't know if I'm here to talk about that, but I wasn't invited to the ceremony either, which I'm still pissed off about.
What ceremony?
It's an open forum.
Well, they had it on grand final day when they posthumously gave out the awards, no invite. And I'm going, hold on a minute.
Can they give an award out when the person who's receiving it's not there?
But then I rang up the New South Wales Rugby League the next day and I said, excuse me, Peter Kelly here. Have you lost my address? Yeah, I think we did, sir. I went, okay. Well, anyway, I'm coming in tomorrow to pick up that award, okay?
Have you got it yet?
Well, no, so I marched in my high vis. I was working up as a mechanic and jumped out and I went in and I said, is such and such here? And sorry, she's at lunch.
Well, Pete, all I want to say is there's someone on this table that works for New South Wales that has all your details. So why didn't he pass them on?
Wait a minute.
Because
what are we getting to here? Right? I want to know where you fit in here. We won grand finals. Did you play in a grand final in first grade for the Bulldogs?
Billy, should he be on the next segment with the comedians? Because he's
Bill,
starting
I'm
at the
asking
net.
you. Where does he fit in here?
I'm out.
Peter Kelly said to me, what grand final did Luke play in?
No, I supported.
I
I
said his dad won grand final.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a tough school here. Believe me, it's a tough school. Let's talk about the Parramatta rivalry. We will go into detail about the 80s, a remarkable era of rugby league for the two clubs, and I'm sure the barroom arguments and even living room arguments continue about who was the team of the 80s. But You'll get no argument here, I might add. But anyway, the rivalry, though, transcends even that. Doesn't matter where these clubs are on the ladder. It's one of the enduring rivalries, isn't it, Kel? And if you think about it, the clubs are different, but then very similar. The passionate Eels fans and the passionate Bulldogs fans, they do not hold back. And there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, totally agree. And rightfully so. You should have passion. You should have love for your team, you know. But as you say, that rivalry is still there, and it should always be there if you've got a good memory, and television keeps that alive for everyone, those people with bad memories, you know. And that was a great era to play in. Seriously, that was you had a hard day in the office when you played those blokes.
And look, even now, very different teams coming together again. The Bulldogs will line up differently than they did when they were beaten 30-4 in the previous game. Mitch Moses had an absolute ball in that game. He controlled everything pretty much that happened on the park. And as Lang has said, it could have been a bigger scoreline. But look, a team that's going to front up a little bit differently. Tavita Pangai Jr.'s back. There are other few changes. Of course, we've got this new halves combination, now a few weeks old. But it's new in terms of that last game they played. So Parramatta will need to keep their eye out for a team that is, as we've all agreed, no matter what level they're at the moment, they won't give up.
No, definitely not. I think T, it wasn't, wasn't quite on in the first half for the Titans, but the second half it was a totally different player. Probably earned him an origin spot. And then on the weekend again, he took on Jared. Their clash was amazing. It was a bit like the old days, but
it was a
lot cleaner. But so and you guys like him, and I thought Curtis Moran was outstanding for his size.
He plays above his weight.
And we talk about it downstairs, and he always pushes through the line, and we talk about he's always pushing up with support. Those plays where no one wants to be. So, yeah, look, like I said, we're still a young team, and mate, we turn up on the day and everything works.
Can I just say about the historic nature of the rivalry? I think it's kind of changed. Like, we're in a different age bracket, right? We understand and what it was about, and the gladiatorial confrontations and stuff like that, and it was the best, wasn't it, Kel? It was the best. But I think now in life, people who are under 40 years of age or 35, they don't really care about history of the world or whatever. They live in the moment. Yeah. I'm not bagging.
No, this generation.
I'm just saying it.
You're 100% right.
So I don't think the modern day rugby league player understands who dug the well, right? So they don't understand of the battles that Canterbury and St. George and Parramatta and Manly had in the 80s here. And I'm saying that as an example, but I think it's just general life.
No.
People don't care.
No, I couldn't agree more. Like we speak about it, with the players. So, I know growing up as a kid, I was born into a rugby league family.
How old are you? And I'm not
I turned 50 this year.
50?
Yeah.
Wow, you're looking good.
He does, doesn't he?
Obviously, you didn't play in the forwards, and you didn't play in an era when you didn't get bashed.
But when I grew up, like I collected every footy card. I loved it, and I lived and breathed it. And we didn't have Foxtel, we didn't have computers. But all I ever wanted to do, was watch footy. That's what my dad said, go down the park, kick the footy. So I'd do that. But now these days, I remember Bryson when he was here at the Bulldogs. I remember him coming home. He goes, "Oh, we got a new football manager." I said, "What's his name?" He said, "Oh, Kelly Egan." And I said, "Oh, I used to play against girls." And Bryson said to me, "Oh, did he play?" And I was devastated because I pride myself on knowing everybody who played. Because I'm a rugby league fan, and I was lucky enough to play. But these guys, you're right. Like Bradley Clyde coming, I reckon would have been 10 years ago. Come and gave the jerseys to the Jersey Flag one year. They asked him, "Oh, did you play?" He's the world's the best lock I've seen play. And so
that is interesting.
I'm with you.
Not even Brad Clyde.
No.
So when we grew up, and even when I was playing first grade and that, was that this game of the day on Channel 2 at 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
And Channel 10 or Channel 7 at 6 o'clock Sunday night.
Yep.
So they're the only games you saw. But I knew every player.
I'm with you.
Every player. I remember in first grade, second grade, like Lindsay Drake played lock in second grade for St. George because Rod Reddy was lock, right?
Yeah.
But now, I couldn't tell you the Warriors team. We got everything instant, and I don't know what it is.
Well, here's a prime example.
Would you agree? You hardly watch it now. being honest,
It is. It's information overload to me. Like I can't
We've
remember.
all got our own
It's-
channel. Well, here's a prime example, Tavita. So last year took the boys out, so we do stuff as part of my role is looking for what they're going to do when they leave the game. So we have a relationship now with the New South Wales Fire Brigade. So we went out there and did that. So we're sitting in the room, the boys got dressed up, and I'm sitting there. Tavita's on one side of me and Terry Lamb's on one side. And we're just sitting there and he's looking at me, Tavita, I'm thinking, then he starts hitting me. I said, what's wrong? He goes, that's Terry Lamb. I said, yeah. I said, well, he works with us. He goes, oh, I see him walking around downstairs. I just thought it was an old fella that worked upstairs.
True story.
And then he was hugging him later. He goes, he looks so different in the photo. I said, mate, that's 40 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not bagging Tavita.
No.
It's bagging life.
Oh.
Now,
Yeah.
everything is, they want to know everything about now and nothing about the past.
Yeah.
And like when the Players Association were fighting, I don't know if they're still fighting the NRL over pay agreements. Well, like at the end of the day, the NRL should have come out and said, mate, like if Johnny Raper and Langlands and Lewis and all these guys were dreadful players, you guys wouldn't be getting paid the money.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that, right? Yeah. So it's a way of life now. You can't. We're sounding old.
No.
Bill, where were we? You've lost control.
Where we are now.
You've lost
No.
control of the dressing
Bill,
room.
I
He's
don't, mind
taken over
losing,
again.
I don't mind losing control of this dressing room at any time. That's what this show's all about. But we're renaming it. We're ditching the Unleashed and calling it Grumpy Old Dogs. But look, we've got more of Langers and Kel coming up. We'll talk in more focus about the 80s. Thank you very much, Luke Goodwin. We'll deal
pleasure.
with you again next week, of course, in this segment. Right after the break, though, Danny Abdallah will join us, and also Rob and Tahir, because there's a really interesting story there about how those three guys are connected, and of course this very important game coming up on Monday.
Tahir Bilgiç Jr., Canterbury-Bankstown Bulldogs. I grew up around here. I just love being with a team. I come from a big family, so having a lot of teammates is a lot of fun. The fans are important to me because when we need some momentum and they cheer us on, it gives us a lift and gives us extra momentum. So don't let a bet take you away from the match. Means to me is you're going to miss out on Josh Adokar down the line, a chip and chase from Matt Burton, and that's things that you don't want to miss. Betting has affected me negatively, both financially and emotionally. What I would say to a fan before they think about betting is don't chase your losses and pay all your bills, pay your rent, pay your mortgage and pay everything before you do gamble. Don't let a bet take you away from the match. So reclaim the game and be gamble aware.
This week's headlines.
We're back with Bulldogs Unleashed, brought to you by Reclaim the Game, and a very special match coming up on Monday. The I Forgive Cup will be decided, and the Bulldogs with a lot of work to do, I might add, to actually get that I Forgive Cup from the clutches of Parramatta. But that brings us to a few very special guests who are connected in a very interesting way. Danny Abdallah, who of course is the man behind the I Forgive Cup, and his beautiful family as well. Thanks for joining us, Danny.
Thank you.
And would you believe two of the funniest guys who've ever been involved in rugby league, Rob and Tahir, are both with us too. Thank you, boys.
Thanks.
We'll
This
be
is a
having
dream to be on this.
We'll be having a chat with you guys about your connections to rugby league in the next segment. But right now, of course, there is a connection between you and Danny. First of all, Danny, the I Forgive Cup in its second year now, and I find this one of the most remarkable cups. There are many teams and clubs, of course, that have sort of intra-competitions like this as commemorations and sometimes celebrations. This has to be one of the most tragic and yet inspiring stories that I've ever seen behind a cup like this. A few years down the track, how has it been for you? If you can explain for those who might not be familiar with the story, but also how you've managed to deal with this.
Yeah, so look, on the 1st of February 2020, my wife and I experienced the worst possible tragedy parents could ever experience. A drunken drug driver ran over 7 children, and 4 of them were my kids. And that day, 3 of my children died, and my cousin Veronique, Bridget's daughter, she passed away as well. My wife, in a matter of probably 24 hours, she forgave the driver publicly, and we both agreed that we would do that for the greater good of our other children, because we knew what had happened, and at the end of the day, we couldn't change what would happen. I think the public, the nation and the world reacted very surprisingly for us, and we had the funeral, and then after that, my wife wanted to have a day called I Forgive Day on behalf of our kids. which was the day of the anniversary of the tragic passing of the children. So we had I Forgive Day, that became I Forgive Week. Then Rob reached out and said we should bring this into a sporting event. And he knows how much I love the dogs and the old Doggies Para Derby, how much we love that as well. And we spoke to Aaron and the CEO of Parramatta as well. And yeah, they made it happen. So.
Well, the reason why Parramatta is because Danny lives in the Parramatta district, and everyone in that community, I mean, everyone Australia-wide got behind the family, but the Parramatta community really got behind them and supported them, and we just thought, yeah, Parramatta versus Bulldogs, perfect.
Aaron was on board straight away, wasn't he? He didn't hesitate. He was like, yeah. We're going to do this. And last year we were at the game, the initial, and I got to say, Danny, it was one of my favourite experiences, memories, just to. I remember seeing your daughter, like she was there with all the friends in the grandstand and running around and catching up. And then I think, did your son come into the...
Yes, Alex and Michael were there.
He came into the dressing room.
He did, yeah.
So, and then seeing Danny, we won the game unexpectedly, Bill, which is like, one of our victories, like unexpected, but that cup. And then to see Danny in the dressing room singing with the boys, that's got to be one of my favourite ever things I've witnessed. And to see the smile on his face and the energy and the players, I think you could probably talk, but you spoke to the players earlier on.
We spoke to the players and we had a chat. I shared my story and I related it back to sport, and I spoke to them about how, on the field you can make mistakes, you can make errors, but you got to forgive yourself and forgive your mate. And that day they won. I think it was 32 points to 8.
Yeah.
And they were the underdogs. And then you look at I recall, I'm not 100%, but I think we had more penalties conceded, more errors. And
I was at the game too. I do.
And that was probably one of the best games we've seen in a long time.
It was scripted perfectly for the family that day. Everything went to plan. That was probably the first time Danny's really shown a lot of happiness, because I know how much it meant to his. The kids love the Bulldogs, and just for all to fall into place, it was like they were up there looking down and made it all happen for the family.
And look, as you say, it I know we say it a lot when it comes to sport, but it gives the players and everyone involved in the game perspective for a start. But it works in a number of ways. As you said, Danny, you related the whole concept of I Forgive to a whole lot of different levels, which again just spreads the message even further and deeper.
It's not just a faith-filled message; it's a humanitarian message. We raise our families, and we live in a world sometimes. Chronic unforgiveness. Two brothers might not be talking to each other for 10 years, and then the kids grow up and they don't end up talking to each other. Kids do what you do, not what you say, So it's a message that people are yearning for and trying to understand it more. It seems small forgiveness, but it's a big deal.
When you think about it, and you and I on another platform, perhaps maybe 2GB, where I also work, is we could talk a lot more about that whole thing and how it resonates across the world. We're seeing conflicts right now everywhere based on past perceived injustices or injustices. But anyway, that's a big issue. But Danny, I just want to also ask, before we talk a little bit more about the whole footy thing and the event itself, how are you? It's been a few years now. You've been very busy. You've been to the Vatican. You've done a whole lot of stuff. It's been, I'm sure, very good and inspiring for a lot of people. But are you okay? Is the family okay?
That's a good question. Yeah, look, we're okay. We've settled this year. We went, last year was busy. We had the Vatican. We spoke at the Vatican on the World Meeting of Families, Layla and I and the family. I went to the Queen's funeral with the Prime Minister and the team.
I love when I saw your name on the list. I'm going to say.
Yep.
I said, Danny, he's getting an invite. So I didn't even ask him what it was like. What happened? What did you see?
Were you like sipping champagne with the Prime Minister on the plane?
It was the highest honour. I always bring it back to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the golden ticket. Yeah. So
who were you sitting next to at the funeral? Like, did you have any world leaders around?
I was actually with Miriam Rose, and I was, pushing her
That's
around.
right. You were, yes.
And we saw all the world leaders. It was amazing, but it was a dream, just in and out. So, but look, we're okay. Layla and I, now we've settled this year. We've got a newborn baby, Selena. Yep. She's brought so much purpose in the house. The kids are starting to, get into sport. I was just sharing that with Rob and Tahir. They're loving life, and my wife and I, we just watch the kids and see how they are, if they're socially healthy. And they're all they've got their friends, they've got their groups, and they're enjoying school. And for us, Layla and I know we have to carry this till we breathe our last breath. But for as long as we can make sure the kids can dream again, we're happy with that.
There's a lot still to do, obviously, as a parent. That's the thing. I mean, and it'd be, you don't get over things like that. You just got to live with it, as you say. But you still got a lot to do.
Yeah, people say time heals all wounds.
No.
I think it doesn't. I think time helps you manage it better. And we look at our kids and we make sure that they're okay, and that gives us satisfaction. You know what? After what I've been through, I always tell my kids how privileged I am to be their dad, because you don't realise until you've experienced what we've experienced. And they always, in the mornings, I'm so privileged, I'm so happy, I'm so honoured to be your dad. And they look at me like, and they love it. But I don't think I'd be saying that if I didn't experience what I've experienced.
And look, part of that, getting on with it, so to speak, is just the mundane stuff, like the footy, as you say. Just getting into a game like this weekend. What are your expectations this weekend? You've had the first one. Now we're into the second year of the I Forgive Cup. And what do you reckon? What's going to happen?
On that builder, like sport, the footy, everything just becomes a distraction, doesn't it? I think I remember I heard you saying that one time. Everything becomes distractions. And footy, while we can provide a little bit of distraction, it's beautiful. And I expect us to win again.
Yeah?
Clearly, like after last year, if Danny's speaking again, he's going to be there with his family. It's going to be, it's almost guaranteed.
Well, we have mentioned, look, technically there's a different look about the Bulldogs against the Eels this time. It hasn't been that long since we last played them, but it is a different looking side. So it will be a different set of circumstances for the Eels to deal with, and maybe Mitch Moses won't have as good a game as he had last time.
Well, he might step up because State of Origin are looking.
That's
a
good point.
I've got to say again, Danny, it's the I Forgive Cup.
I get it.
It's going to be like the signs are all there.
I think he was a closet doggy
The
supporter.
signs are all there,
that
Bill.
day he was happy.
No. To be honest, I was very happy. I remember Layla just sitting there and go, it's just, there's a full moon. I think it was St. Anthony's feast day, which is named after his son,
It's unbelievable.
Anthony, and everything just seemed.
All the stars aligned at that night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was just a
beautiful.
perfect day, and I love it. It was good. Yeah. I was very happy to see it all. My reason for putting this together, the cup, was always to keep their name alive, the kids' names, and to see their happiness, like that was enough for me. And
Thanks, Rob.
to see you in the change room and the family, and that's I was there. Danny lived next door to my brother, so I remember the whole night playing out when it all happened. And
And what a great message to remind, like on an annual basis. You know, like if you remind each other, like you said, Danny. Rob and I, we're family orientated people. When we hear about brothers not talking to each other, it blows our mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, how could you be a brother or family or someone?
And speaking of family,
because of something, and usually when you break it down, it's a very minor thing.
Yeah.
Just egos.
We've worked for a lot of clubs, and I'm not just saying this because it's a Bulldogs podcast, but the Bulldogs club is a family club. Like, they make everyone feel welcome, even if you're not a Bulldog supporter or you're not involved. But it just feels that way when you walk into the club. It's always got that feel about it.
It's very warm and welcoming. Yeah.
And look, you talk about a very important message, and to keep that message alive. It's for anyone who's thinking, I just can't quite get my head around this horrible tragedy and footy, how does that work? But it's not just about footy. It's about getting that message out to the people who watch and love footy. That's the real thing, isn't it? And a lot of normal, everyday people, as you said, Tahir, who might have issues that they're trying to get around, might be hopefully inspired by this message.
Yeah, look, the I Forgive Foundation's growing, and we're implementing forgiveness coaches that can help people understand. People coming from third world countries, they've got their own trauma, and you can help them understand about letting go. And in the footy games, a lot of players make mistakes.
Yep.
And they can't let go, and because they can't let go, they go back to their old habits. We can teach them, how to let go and move forward and be better, not bitter.
It's like a weight off your shoulders, isn't it?
It is.
When you forgave it just really.
Absolutely.
It just released probably a lot of.
They no longer control your emotions when you forgive someone, because forgiveness, we always say, is for the forgiver just as much as the forgiven. You let go, that's it. They don't own you. So for Layla and I, we're paying dividends now in the positives with our kids because we chose to forgive. My daughter Liana the other day, we spoke about, do you think about the kids and this and that? She goes, Dad, look, I do. I think about my siblings, but it's in the past. I don't want to dwell in the past, and I want to look forward and set my goals and achieve them. And I feel like if we didn't forgive, I think it would have been a different environment at home.
You would have been an angry man.
Angry man. I wouldn't put the TV on. I wouldn't want to listen to music. I would have probably been on alcohol or just to numb the pain. So
and that affects an entire family.
Oh yeah,
and not just your immediate family, just everybody. It has a domino effect, doesn't it? One more thing before we let you go, and thank you very much for being with us, Danny. In fact, Danny will be joining us again, I think maybe with Layla, depending on your commitments on the day, on our live show on Monday at the Locker Room next to Accor Stadium. We'll be broadcasting live from 2 to 3, roughly. If we're having a good time, we might go a bit longer. Unfortunately, these guys are going to be too busy, but they are actually at the stadium. But we'll get them on again, don't worry. Just quickly, your tip for the game before we go on. We'll talk to you guys after the seg, but
Bulldogs 30+.
Wow.
Okay, that's a big call.
Well, last year 32-28, 20+.
I think Bulldogs 8+.
8+.
Draw.
A draw.
Yeah.
Even after Golden Point.
Yep,
You're a very diplomatic man, Rob.
Playing it safe.
Danny, our best wishes to you and the family. Thank you so much, mate, for coming on. We'll see you on Monday anyway with Layla. And Rob and Tahir will be back after the break. And don't forget, Langers and Kel will be back too to talk about the 1980s. Looking forward to that.
Let's go in the sheds.
Welcome back to Bulldogs Unleashed, brought to you by Reclaim the Game. How do we reclaim these blokes? Rob and Tahir now talking about their relationship with rugby league, which has been a very long one and I'd say profitable, not just monetary, but you've had a great love of the game, and I'm sure being able to share it with so many people in recent years has been a big part of your lives.
Big time. I played junior rugby league for St George Dragons in the Bulldogs juniors. We won a comp right here at Belmore Sports Ground.
Wow.
Under 13s and under 14s.
Okay.
Then I think I was going to make a couple of rep sides, but you know what? No support from the parents.
It's that era. It was that era.
That's what it was. Like,
You used to sneak out to play rugby league.
I used to sneak out to play games.
True really?
Story, yeah. Put the boots in, and I remember one time I got a sore hammy, put a jeans on, didn't just hobbled around everywhere for a week. No recovery. Like these days, the players recover in 2 days, 1 day, 2 days. Like that doesn't. Hammy doesn't. But yeah, it knocked me out for a week.
So did your parents have other ideas for you, Tahir?
They just thought you're not going to play that sport. It's too rough, and and they're busy. Like they're hardworking migrants, and there was trips away, and I knew that they didn't have the money or they weren't going to pay. I just knew. I remember being selected in rep sides and then just not trying to touch the ball because I was too embarrassed. If I made, I think there was one game from state selection, and they said you got to pay to go there. And I said, no, I can't tell this. I'd be embarrassed if I make the team and say my parents are not going to pay. So I just didn't touch the ball. I was in the centres. I was a big, fast centre back then. And then I remember they switched me to the forwards to try to get involved in the game. Still didn't touch the ball. And I said, no, this guy's...
I had to go at my parents the other day because we actually watched my nephew who's in year 11 playing first 15 at rugby and they're there watching. And I said, I don't even remember... You, mum and dad watching. I played for Australian schoolboys, Australian under-19s, 21s. Not once did I see them. My mum occasionally in junior years and that, but my mum actually ran on the field once. I had a bit of a push and shove in under 11s, and my mates still talk about it. She pushed the kid away and said, don't touch my son like this.
Better lifestyle. It could be a Lebanese thing. I don't know. Lebanese mums are...
just protective. Luckily she didn't have the slipper. She would have just thrown it at the kid. But
the whole team would be knocked out.
Yeah. But,
imagine that these days.
The closest I had to rugby league was I played in the what would have been ARL, the sevens, the Coca-Cola sevens at the SFS with Lebanon, and Hazem was in the team.
Yeah.
And David Baysari, Charlie Saar,
I
John
remember
Elias,
those players.
and Stevie Goshen was coach. That was the closest I got. Because I got this call. I played Australia under 19s against New Zealand in rugby, and then Ray Dibb was the manager of the team, and I got this call from this Ray Dibb and said, "Do you want to be part of the Lebanese squad?" I said, "Yeah, all right," and I loved it. And I remember walking down SFS, and it was just. And that's the Lebanese are so passionate, and you know that through the Bulldogs club. They love their rugby league.
Well, the Shehadie name is massive with rugby, as you mentioned. You're not the only one. It goes back
that's right.
through your family generations. But were you tempted, given that phone call and other things, just loving the game, were you tempted to play the pro game?
It was just the era I was in. Rugby was still semi-professional, and I was getting $500 a win, and my club at the time wasn't winning. Yeah, big money.
Big money.
So, rugby league as well. I mean, I guess if you play Australian schoolboys now, rugby, you probably got a really strong chance of signing maybe with an NRL club. Like Adam Dewey went to my school, but years later, and he, Aussie schoolboys straight into an NRL club. Don't get me wrong, I would have played, but I wasn't used to the rugby league game. It's totally different forwards, rugby league and union. But yeah, we love, because our background sports.
He didn't have the motor.
Because our background sports, we just love being around it, and we love doing. We do the Sydney Kings, and we've done cricket, we've done rugby league, Origins, grand
played
finals.
everything. I played AFL, cricket, tennis. I love golf. People just grew up on sport big time.
People don't believe.
I had a
People think I'm
childhood
telling
like
a
that.
joke when I say I played for Australia.
Really?
A joke? I go, no. Tahir knows. I'll pull out the photos. I've got the photos in my phone. Go have a look.
Put the photos with Campese and everyone. He's got it all there.
So when you guys, of course, started writing together and acting together, and have you ever done? You've done stand up together, sort of, haven't you? You've done stand up separately as well, but yeah. The theme has often been your backgrounds, of course, culturally and the suburbs of Sydney and all those things. But how was there any particular time when you were conscious of weaving sport into it, and in particular rugby league? But was that something you got together and thought, there's a lot of laughs in this? I don't know.
Stand-up comedy is my passion, Rob knows, and I started off and I got on the footy show pretty quickly after I started. So I made a few waves on the comedy scene, and next you know, Terry Hill saw me, and then he goes, because it was a regular on it, and within 2 years that I was on there, I'm thinking, what am I doing? They could have gone horribly wrong. I'm only 2-3 years
Craig McLaughlin style.
In a stand-up comedy. Yeah, that was a disaster, wasn't it? And then I'm doing it's live. It was live there.
Yeah.
Okay, if this goes badly, everyone's going to know.
So Tahir,
if it goes well, it's good.
Tahir and Carl Barron go down on record as the most appearances on the footy show.
Yeah,
as comedians.
I think I've done the most because I was on the panel a few times. Then I was doing some stories for them.
And you even accepted a Logie for them.
That was funny. Did we ever tell you, Bill?
No, I didn't remember that. I might have even been there that year.
The Habibs was up for a Logie, and we're sitting at the same table as the footy show crew.
So there's Fanny, Daryl Broman, they're all there, right?
What year was that? That was fairly recently.
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And Tahir said to me, because it was their segment now, their category, and he goes, if they win...
The light entertainment show of the year or something
That's
like
right,
that.
yeah.
He goes, if they win, I'm getting up with them. He goes, get up with me. I go, no way.
And Rob knows I'm going to do it.
Yeah, because I buckle. That stuff, he loves it. Anyway, they win. So now on national TV, Tahir's... They're very just kind of little claps, and they got up and shaking each other. His guy's cheering like
I've gone like Bill, yeah.
He's hugging everyone, and then
the whole table.
I thought, okay, that's it. That's all he's doing. Then they started walking up to the stage. He's behind him.
I followed him.
I've got footage of it. I've got it on my phone.
And the next thing, they're on the stage, right? And I've got the Logie, and then me standing right there as well.
During
right
the
next
speeches.
During the speeches, just waving to people, going, yeah, like this. And then, of course, on a Thursday night, Bo Ryan said, what was
they
Tahir
talked about
doing
it.
up there? And then we got ushered off, and then they take some photos once you win an award, for the TV week and everything.
Yeah, you go to the press room afterwards. Yeah.
That's when I left. Okay, that's too far now. It's gone too far. I've walked on the stage. I left at that stage.
Yeah, those journos will catch you out every time.
Oh, mate. But the footy show is very supportive. Honestly, they were very supportive of comedians.
Yep.
All the executive producers over the year, Pallister, Burnsy, there's a lot of them. Very supportive, and it did a lot for me.
And look, it's a funny game. I mean, there's a lot in this game that is funny, and thank goodness.
Yeah, there's so much you can. I mean, each week there's stuff on the field, off the field. There's heaps you can pick on, and we just love being around it, and we love game day. Game day for us, and emceeing and hosting and getting amongst the crowd. And we started at the Parramatta Eels, and I remember rugby league was pretty boring. Let's be honest, for the fans, it was a pretty boring experience.
It was a standard experience,
and I'm a little bit worried that rugby league's going back to that game day experience where what you watch on TV is exactly the same as what you see at the game. So they're
That
not
is a
giving
worry.
you anything different.
That's a good point.
So when we went to the Eels, we started bringing in, not that we invented it, but we brought it in. Kiss cam,
We had
dance
to
cam.
convince them.
Really?
Yeah, we said, are you sure? Like, you know,
Sing along. And Tahir remembers this. For 6 weeks, I said I want to do a Sweet Caroline sing along because I used to see it in the baseball overseas in America and NFL and all that. Oh no! They just kept putting it off for 6
sure about
weeks.
it, not sure about it.
I don't know if it'll work. I said, "Are you serious?" And then I remember the Eels were. This is the old Para Stadium.
Yeah.
I remember the Eels were coming. They were a bit late coming out. I get a call, Rob. They were running about 2 minutes late. I think we might give you a song a go. And we put it on, and 18,000 people sang it with passion. And I remember at the end, it was like I was like Steve Mortimer. They wanted to carry me off on their shoulders. And
all the executives are patting
all the
each other on the back.
executives like, wow, that
On
was
each other's back.
never seen it before, and it was a massive. Now it's like clubs try to do it.
Everyone tries
but
it,
they try to do it because we've got that comedy background, and we can actually commentate, and you got to put a bit of comedy to it. You can't just be straight about, oh, look at this guy, kiss cam. You got to get right into it.
Because Aussie crowds are funny, aren't they? Americans, they'll just perform, just go like that. And the Americans will do anything in front of a camera. Australians, you're right. You've got to have the right environment. You've got to have the right coercion. You guys know what that is. I don't. But
I don't know what it is. I don't know if...
Well, I think the fact that we've done sitcoms and movies and that's people sort of
Accept
we know
us.
they're guys, they're funny.
Yeah, right.
So we can get away with stuff. Like we say, hey, you want to come and try this? They go, yeah. We sort of get away with it. At the same time, we've done a whole bunch of serious interviews. Like we're sports rugby league fans. We know we can ask. Like our style was ask a couple of serious questions, then throw a couple of funny ones, and the players would enjoy. The crowd would enjoy.
Yeah.
Like we've got different segments, and that's what it's an experience of the ground that you want people to have.
I've always wondered about what you just touched on there, like the Australian crowds. Like, you look at rugby, you could hear a pin drop.
yeah.
They don't, and I don't know if it's the system here. I don't know if we hold back. When there's passion, do we punish passion? Because I know there's a fine line. Passion can bring trouble.
Becomes aggression sometimes.
And I remember the Bulldogs are always got a big fan base in the 90s. They're very loud, as you know, very loud, very passionate. I look at the Wanderers, but they cut it down, and then the Wanderers are not getting that crowd, that big push behind them. I don't know. I love passion. I love watching English. I don't even watch the game, the soccer. I love the crowds.
Oh, the songs.
I love the passion.
It's one thing.
I don't know why. Well, maybe we don't allow it.
But you've got to be there.
But I remember when, when I played for Lebanon at the SFS, the first day on the Saturday, we had all the fans had the drums.
Yeah.
They stopped it. They banned it. So the Lebs improvised. They brought the wheelie bins down the stands. I never forget. I could see it. They're hitting the bins because they try to stop it.
It was interesting. I was at a game once, and we're in the corporate areas, and there was a Kiwi supporter. The Dogs were playing the Warriors. This is a few years ago, and there was a Kiwi supporter, and he was just yelling a lot. It was nothing offensive. He was just making a lot of noise.
Yep.
Someone complained and wanted him kicked out. I went and stood up for him with the security guards, but they said, look, thanks for your input, but we've been asked to remove him. So they took him out.
That's my point.
But the funny part was he wasn't being offensive. He was just loud.
Yeah.
Now, you get punished for being loud at a footy game.
I know.
It is a fine line, because I think when blocks of people get together, the certain kinds of people, like young blokes who aren't really there for the footy, that's a danger. How you separate that from just that lovely noise,
It's a tough
I don't
one.
know.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's not easy.
The Bulldogs got big support too. I remember when Todd Greenberg.
Yeah,
I mean, he was always good with Rob and I, and he said we've done. I remember him clearly telling us we've done a study nationwide, and the Bulldogs have got more support than anyone else nationally.
Yeah.
They had 400,000 supporters around the country.
That's interesting.
Which is amazing.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
And when we went off that, because in Here Come the Habibs, the father in the show was a Bulldogs fan, because we looked. We thought, do we do an AFL team? Do we do and we looked at the numbers, and Bulldogs are a very recognisable brand. And
I think success is around the corner for us. I really do. I would love to just fill the stadium.
Yeah.
Where are they all? Come out. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
There's a hardcore always comes out no matter what.
you just got to make game day fun. You can't just rely on the game as the entertainment. That's if you just rely on the game as entertainment, then that's not enough. Because, like I said, I can sit on the couch in comfort, in the warmth of my house. I don't have to buy tickets, parking, travel. I'm just comfortable.
That's a really good point you make.
Give me some more when I'm sitting there.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make, and I think it's something a lot of clubs need to look at, and even the broadcasters probably need to acknowledge that there needs to be a separate kind of entertainment at the game. Other sports have got that down pretty well.
They do. They have all sorts of things. They've got singles. They've got like singles. You get to meet someone like a singles section.
Kiss cam and
there's different
all that sort of stuff.
It's great.
Now, just quickly, your thoughts on the game this weekend?
Well, I think it's. I think the Bulldogs, like Tahir, they're just growing every week. They seem to. This year for the Bulldogs, I know they're not winning as many games, but it's positive. You kind of feel like it's going to happen. It's happening. They're getting closer and closer. There's a lot of positive energy. I think it's going to be pretty close. I mean, Parramatta aren't firing. So last year they were firing and Bulldogs smacked them. I remember that. And like we talked with, about the I Forgive Cup, it just worked well for the Abdullahs. And but yeah, I think we've got a pretty close game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be close. Yeah,
look, I think we can win. There's no doubt about it. I think we're missing kick out big time. We just having a weapon on the edge it was huge. Like that was a huge purchase for us, and just not having that, like we haven't had him the whole season.
There's a lot of money in forward sitting on the bench at the moment, which people forget.
There is, but he was like a weapon. He takes attention away from the defence. There's 2-3 people on him, creates opportunities. Like I think that's a massive loss for us. Like but we're just missing a little bit. Like we're just obviously kick out's a big thing, but not much has to go. Like
that's a good point.
There's a couple of great players. Jacob Preston, by the way. Here's a gun.
Great to watch.
Get this. I met him on a cruise ship.
Wow.
Really?
Him and his family, yeah.
Did you know he was a Dogs player at that stage?
No, he wasn't
he's
a Dogs
only
player
recently just joined the club.
Player. Yeah, so that was a couple of years ago. And I knew he was in the sport. And the family were great family, beautiful people. And we had a great time. And then we sort of follow each other on social media. And I'm seeing pictures of him. I go, hang on, he's playing a serious... I can see like he's playing A grade and he's playing like... I can see that he's playing like a high level.
Yeah.
You know? And next thing you know, he turns up out of nowhere, and I didn't put two and two together until his sister Holly said, "Hey, hang on, that's like, oh my god," because he was in my Supercoach team.
Yeah,
like everybody's team.
Yeah,
he was on,
yeah.
He made but he's a great find. Great find. We've got a lot of players like that. I think we're building beautifully.
And there's a number of players in the team like that. Rob, Tahir, it's great to have you back with us on this show, and hopefully you'll come back and join us again pretty soon.
I'd love to, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. I love it.